All right, let's get started. Hi, all. Welcome, everyone, to our fireside chat. How identity verification can enhance customer onboarding beyond the basics. We are honored to have a remarkable panel of experts with us today, ready to explore key challenges and innovative solutions in identity verification and customer onboarding. First, let me introduce our host for the session, Mr. Jay Prakash Keher. As Vice President and Head of API Marketplace Sales at Vayana, Jay Prakash brings over 15 years of experience in financial services industry. His deep knowledge in sales, business development, and digital transformation has driven growth and innovation at Vayana, making him the perfect guide for today's discussion. Now, joining Jay Prakash as our esteemed panelist, Mr. Nilay Sharma, Director and Business Head of Proteus Technology Private Limited, with an impressive 35 years of experience. Nilay has been driving force in transforming Proteus technology into a leader in cloud and enterprise class solutions serving over 100 plus customers globally. His journey from corporate finance to IT leadership highlights a career marked by technology innovation and strategic growth. Mr. Nitin Nayak, founder of Synergy Connect, brings over 25 years of impactful work in behavioral change communication and technology driven solutions. Nitin's dedication to empowering organizations in the development sector has made a remarkable impact across India with collaborations spanning Tata Trust, CRISIL Foundation, NESCOM Foundation, and more. Finally, we have Mr. Anurag Mehta, founder and director of Real Book, an IIM Lucknow alumnus and former investment banker with experience at HSBC and Deutsche Bank. Anurag leads Realbook as a global player in accounting software. His vision and expertise have streamlined accounting and financial operations for business across the globe. Together, our host and panelists will dive deep into enhancing identity verification through automation, API integration, and practical solutions for seamless onboarding. Thank you all for joining us today. Let's get started. Jay Prakash, over to you.
Thank you, Aman, for the introduction.
Most welcome.
A warm welcome for all the panel speakers and all the participants who are joining this webinar this early morning. And I hope this webinar is going to be very knowledgeable and more interactive session for everyone to take away and gain few insight about the challenges with regard to identity verification. So today, the more we are going to discuss about the innovations. So as we all are surrounded with the technology, we use different types of technology to run our corporates, right? Business operations, day-to-day operations. And still more and more we discover. So there's a lot of scope of improvement are always available as an opportunity for us to make more and more automations. So as a broader level, we cannot discuss all the topic at one go. So today we have selected one specific topic that is more regard to identity verifications. And for those, we have chosen today three different vertical, or we can say the three domain expertise who are invited as a panel speaker today. Wherein the first vertical we have chosen for the pharma and the distribution manufacturing ERP. And second vertical we have chosen from the automobile vertical. And third is the CSR vertical. So there are a lot of other verticals are available like the various different types of ERP, HRMS application, banking applications. So in most of all the applications, there's a huge requirement of identity automations. There are verifications need to be done before onboarding the supplier vendors. There are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of automation has been developed provided by the various service provider in India. So now we can start this session and to understand the real-time market challenges discovered by the technology player service provider and the list of customers who has adopted this kind of automation within their business to streamline and to minimize the identification challenges. So to start with, the first question would be for Nilesh Sharma, Proteus ERP. So it will be great if you can guide us to the audience. What are the real-time challenges has been discovered in terms of the identity verification for different corporate houses?
Yeah, thanks, Jay Prakash, and thanks for getting me on this panel. Really a privilege. Uh, so let me put it this way. The challenges of a pharma company are as typical as any other organization when it comes to suppliers, when it comes to customers, where they would want to identify or verify whether the typical things like the PAN number is in place, the addresses are in place, the GST numbers are what they are, and most of all, what is the status right now of those uh, you know identification like the PAN number, uh, rest which is there, which is required for doing business. One important thing I think which everyone would have, and but I'll still give it across because this was one need that immediately came in from our clients is that can we have a way to verify MSME Aadhaar? I'm sure all the panelists would agree that this was one thing that immediately came up and actually was one of the factors by which clients were looking for it. They were looking, let's have something that we can verify the the MSME Aadhaar, because now there is a statutory requirement, there is a need, there are auditors who would question and ensure that you have the verification in place. Plus, that's the right MSME provider in the tagging of that, which was critical. When it comes to typically pharma, and I won't make it very long. This is the challenge we have specifically in pharma is that pharma has a very large sales force. Most pharma organizations have a very large sales force. Some of our clients have close to 2,000 plus salespeople, and their iteration rate is very high. So the iteration rate is close to 30%. And every time a newer salesperson comes on board, they need to be verified. So here is where Aadhaar came in place, the Aadhaar verification came in place and made the job of the HR person much easier. Today, it's quite a pain. If you've got a sales force across the country, either you will have to rely on the branch offices to collect the corresponding document, send them to the H office, they do the verification. So it was because there's a sales force across the country. Aadhaar led verification now has really a boom, especially for organizations where the turnaround is very high. And in pharma and even in my industry, in software, that's one thing that we need to continuously ensure that our the identity of the individual is what it is, and that's where Aadhaar comes in. I think Jayaprakash, these are the specific things. If there's something else you would want me to answer, I would be open to do it.
Yeah, sure. So we'll come to you once again, sir. So there are a few other questions are there in pipeline. So as just to start with, I think the same similar kind of question will be for Anurag. As Anurag is running a business vertical into the automobile sector, and automobile is again one of the biggest backbone for the Indian economic development, wherein the auto component industries contribute more than 6 lakh crore turnover in India. And Anurag has been expertise in building the solution, which is most popular in the automobile sector as per my knowledge. So we would like to listen from Anurag that Anurag, what could be, is there any specialized or any challenges has been discovered by your team or has been identified or requested by your client to build more and more automation in terms of identity verification?
Sorry, interrupt. Hi everyone. Thanks, Jayaprakash, for having me on this panel. It's an honor and a privilege. So I think a little bit like Nilay mentioned, identity is a very important part of business now. Whether it is for GST verification, PAN card verification, linking of PAN card with Aadhaar card, because all of these have significant compliance-related impacts as far as the business goes. So as an accounting software, and we actually cater to even beyond auto dealerships, but auto dealership is our forte. We have probably maybe 25% of the ET top 100 clients as our clients in the auto dealership space. Uh, everything, if you have to deep dive into small little things, like let's say a person buys a vehicle, the PAN card needs to be verified that the person who's buying the vehicle. And a lot of these are a lot of, I mean, in our kind of corporates, probably the corporates buy vehicles, but the reality is that the mass market that buys vehicles are all individuals. So you need to have the PAN card verified. You need to check whether that PAN card is linked to the Aadhaar card or not. You'll be surprised to see that is also sometimes not there, and that has impact on how much TDS has to be deducted with or TCS has to be collected with respect to the with respect to the overall sale. And that will only be done. And if you expect that someone's going to do it manually, it will not happen. So a lot of this has to be done at the time of master creation and verification. Things like GST verification as well, whether it is for your vendors, whether it is for your even for your customers when you're selling or raising B2B invoices. Because if they are GST verified and you want to raise any invoice, is the GST valid or not valid? Is the PAN card active or not active? I mean, I think there are a lot of things that need to get automated, and Vayana has taken a huge step in that direction by providing us a lot of APIs. And we use Vayana quite deeply, quite integrated into Vayana's overall ecosystem with respect to GST, PAN, etc. And that's made the lives of our clients very easy. When you think of it, I mean, look, every auto dealership has at least maybe 3,000-4,000 invoices a month. I mean, whether it is with respect to workshop invoices, whether it's with respect to new car sales, etc. And all of this is very crucial. I mean, the identity verification part is something very, very crucial to sort of get the to basically ensure that the companies are compliant. I think compliance is a very large part of anyone's business. I mean, I think given whatever it is, the government is very focused on compliance, and I think that way Mayana has taken some of the really big steps in that direction to ensure identity verification is made very easy.
Yeah. So thank you, Anurag, for highlighting the view challenges in your specific domain. And now we'll move to Synergy Connect, Mr. Nitin Naik. So as CSR is one of the unique vertical in India because this application is designed for the corporate social responsibility, wherein any big corporates with the company turnover more than 1,000 CR or the net profit more than 5 CRs has to contribute their 2% of their profit for the CSR drive for the rural economy development. And I think Nitin is catering to this vertical, has developed the complete pool of solution, and these solutions are mainly used by all big giant corporates. And we see like as the biggest the fund get distributed via various distribution channel. So it is the fund is not getting distributed by a single decision authority. It has to be moved from layer to layer, from like state to city, city to district, district to taluka, and to villages. So during the journey, Nitin, can you highlight the list of challenges that you may have discovered in terms of validating the beneficiary data as such?
Thanks, Jayaprakash. Actually, hi everyone. I'm from Synergy Connect, and Synergy Connect, the focus has been a totally different sector, the social sector, which is a new and evolving sector, and which the first conditioning is like adaptation of technology. The first challenge becomes is technology required? So last 10 years, we had been working very closely with corporates, corporate foundations, philanthropy, and even government in terms of how technology can be used by people where the sector is unorganized. If you talk about pharma, which Nilay was speaking, or Anurag, they were speaking of automobile sector. These sectors have pretty matured over the last 50 years, and there are systems in place. The players, stakeholders have understood that without technology, nothing can move ahead. We are in a sector where we are creating a need, and when you create a need, there is a long process in terms of educating the stakeholders in terms of what are their roles and how technology can help them to deliver things better. Today, if you see, with the CSR law, which has come 10 years back, and with almost, I would say in the last 10 years, 1 lakh crores being spent in terms of bringing impact. The bigger problem is the government today is not able to understand what happened about that 1 lakh crore, which was spent by the CSR companies. Now, the whether they are being spent or not. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is who are the beneficiaries of that money which has been spent on different thematic areas. So our challenge is creating a requirement, I would say, than the other sectors in understanding how tech, like a simple thing which I would say that a simple thing which like proof of verification in terms of who is the receiver of a particular intervention is something which is an ask by the government from last year. As the sector evolved, the first government were actually allowing the CSR to understand the law. Now they are asking, we don't want numbers, but we want the actual impact. This is where we see that in the last couple of years, facilities like API integration with the government sources like Aadhaar is there, or PAN is there, or GST is there, is coming as an ask. Previously it was a push, now it's like an ask. So that is the change. So it is evolving, it will take some time, because infra is a challenge, people's mindset is a challenge, even domain expert is a challenge. So I think that is something challenges which you look. And as we go more into questions, I can give more specific connect between how we are using it to domain specific and other things. Thanks, Jayaprakash.
Thank you, Nitin. So, with the continuation to the challenges that what we have identified from different domain, like from pharma, like for MSME verification, PAN card, Aadhaar card, bank account verification. Definitely, there will be many other scope will be available once we spend more and more time with the corporates to understand to in terms of building the automation. Obviously, there will be many other challenges that we can discuss. So, thank you for highlighting the real-time challenges has been discovered on this vertical. Now, moving to next level, we also like the audience also like to understand that how these challenges has been addressed by using what kind of technology, how the automation has been built up, and by using some few scenarios. So that will really help the audience also to understand that what is the importance towards building these automations and how you guys have delivered. So similarly, any other people who are thinking to implement the same thing, can we continue with the same solutions? So I hope, Nilesh sir, I think you can help us in terms of understanding about the automation flow.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been happy to be associated with Vayamana from, I think, 2017, from the first time that you guys launched, became a GSP. And if I were to say one thing that is required for automation, one thing that is very important for automation is the ease of which you can do the automation. And that is where I think Vayamana comes in. The automation process is not very complex. I mean, if we had opportunities to even look at others for integration, but if you want to integrate something, the first thing is this whole process of integration should be very simple. It should be simple, straightforward. It should not be, it should not require too many processes or too many, further intermediaries to make that happen. Second, which I think is most important, is that your system's architecture should be ready to carry on this implementation of automation. And I think Anurag mentioned also that this automation, whenever you design this automation, it cannot be one time, just build the master and then you verify once. In a dynamic world, I would suggest that every time you do a transaction or a regular interval, you need to verify that whether this exists or doesn't exist. So if there are developers on the platform and who are developing software, the first thing is your architecture should be such that not only take whatever the integration WAN is providing today, but I'm sure tomorrow there will be many more. I mean, they would be account aggregators, they would be, I mean, there would be banks through which I'm hoping that WAN would come in that. I believe there would be many other things that would come. Get your architecture in place that allows you for integration. I think that's the key for any integration. How you need to apply it is something that depends upon your business rules. I hope I could answer your question, Jayaprakash.
Yeah. So Nilesh, I would also like to add few things to this vertical because uh, in my during my field visit, I've met a few of your partners in Gujarat and I met few of your clientele also. So what we have understood that the customers are expecting the automation in terms of like end-to-end solutions, right? So the way strongly the ERP has been completely implemented from the procurement till the production, MRP one till delivery, right? Till receivable management. So similarly now there are a lot of scopes are getting open in terms of like the identity verification API. Starting from there, people are also expecting for the automation of collection management, receivable management need to be automate, need to be plugged in with multiple communication channel. So earlier there was only the data was available. Now the data has to get validated on the real time. And along with that, it has to be get integrated with multiple channel like communication channel, payment channel, multiple mode of payment channel. And again, connected with this, the extension is that for the business expansion, mainly into the manufacturing and the distribution domain, people, the corporates are also empowering the entire ecosystem with the supply chain lending. Again, this thing need to be tightly integrated within the application to simplify the entire journey. So have you faced this kind of scenario like anytime?
Yeah. So today, especially in the supply chain financing, I think there is a huge what should I say opportunity available where in a single platform you have your financing done, you have your limits in place. It's and it happens automatically. So there seems to be, but yes, I mean that's because it takes time for small business to get them to learn and to come up to need, but I believe that's going to happen in a big way. We've encountered people who would want supply chain financing happening the moment the invoice is raised. So the moment invoice is raised, the bill discounting would, I mean, in olden times we used to call it discounting, but similar way, they would get money into their accounts. So yes, definitely, Jayaprakash, that's a big opportunity that is there, and actually the opportunity is limitless. We are moving to a world where without integration things are not going to work. And just one last, kind of feedback that we've got from clients that they say why do enterprise or enterprise softwares lag behind as compared to consumers. So in a consumer facing software, I mean, the moment you do a transaction, you get a WhatsApp, you get your limit, you get reminders, you get this, you get that. So so this is the kind of uh, what should I the service levels that enterprise are wanting, whether it's your vendor or your customer, anybody in your ecosystem, because they are seeing this happen in the B2C area. And I'm sure in enterprise software these things would have to be provided, and these can be only provided through various integration and channels. I mean, I believe we would enterprise software vendors also will have to be as communicative, as responsive as B2C providers, software providers.
And Nilesh sir, one more thing, before I shift to other panel, I hope you also specialize in offering the HRMS solution.
Yeah, we have for our customers, since most of our customers have so we have an HRMS software. Yeah.
So have you feel to get any kind of like identification module has been implemented or?
So the start of the API was from my customers who wanted the Aadhaar. I mean, that's how it all began. Is
Okay.
that they because that's where it all began. And they said, look, we need Aadhaar verification, because I mean it's a must nowadays. Aadhaar verification or whatever. I mean, there's a driving license fees, because I mean there are many HR needs a lot of information about employees, and if it is verifiable information without the need of scanning, checking, and all that, I think that's how the journey started in terms of API integration. It was Aadhaar verification.
Thank you, Nilesh sir. So now I'll move
Thank
to
you.
Anurag sir to understand more in detail. So Anurag ji, I have a question for you that post integration, what was the adoption cycle by the customers, or have you faced like any challenges while implementing the automations, or it was complex in nature? So you can proceed. Anurag sir, you're on mute.
Apologies. Yeah, hi. No, I don't think the integrations were very complex. Look, so a few things, like what Nilay also mentioned, that gradually a customer or a consumer of the ERP, and I mean, we don't really call ourselves an ERP, though we have pretty much everything that most of the things that an ERP has, but we try to, we just think Nilay mentioned, that the moment you think of an ERP, you think of one gigantic system and a lot of different complex modules, etc. So we would not like to call ourselves an ERP only for that one reason. I think it just keeps it simpler. But yeah, I think the client base that we have is typically mid-sized client. I mean, probably above maybe 50, 100 crores of top line and going up to maybe 3,000, 4,000 crores also. Now, the thing is that adoption or any kind of rollout is a little challenging in any of these organizations. But so therefore, what you have to do is make it like a default rollout. So what we got when we first integrated GST with you all, and to be fair, for the benefit of the attendees as well, I will tell you one thing, that we did not go to Vayana first for our GST integration. We'd gone to NSDL, and that actually turned out to be just a long run process without much progress. And then we went to Vayana, and I think it was really smooth. I think that is one thing I will definitely commend you all on, the way you all have created your API structures. It's very easy to consume data, and I think that is one big pat on the back to your development team, Jayaprakash. Apart from that, what we've done is we've tried to make all these default applications. So whether it is a PAN verification, whether it is Aadhaar linking, whether it is MSME verification, GST verification, and like you mentioned, what we do is that even for GST verification, we do provide at the time of return filing, it rechecks all the GSTNs, whether they are active or not active, etc. at the time of filing itself. Because like you rightly mentioned, that while data capturing at the time of masters is important, it is equally important at the time of filing of returns or at the time of doing transactions. So you have to make sure that your architecture is designed in a nimble way that it can take care of all these movements and checking and validation on a real-time basis as well. Because otherwise, once the post-facto information is not very helpful, you have very little chance of rectifying or remedying the situation in a lot of cases. So therefore, it's important that you check it at the time of the transaction itself. But yeah, Jayaprakash, to answer your question, what we've tried to do is make all these solutions as default solutions and default applications within RealBooks. It is not, and it should be a single click of the button rather than a complete rollout of like a full application. I think we don't want to do that. We've created one small little enhancement on, let's say, GST validation. Then we just make sure that the GST validation is on a single click. We've gone a step further with those very small things like adding, let's say, when you validate the GST, then the address in the GST certificate gets automatically updated in our customer or our vendor master. These are small things. I mean, you can always copy it, but when you make these automations, it just makes life easier. You enter a GST number, the PAN automatically gets updated. I mean, these are things that you have to do to make sure that the adoption is not painful. No user, and I'm saying forget the management wants automation, but it's the user who has to ultimately sort of adopt it. And you have to make sure that genuinely the user's life becomes easier. I think that way, that is the way we also consume APIs from you all. We ensure that whatever we are doing is making the life of that end user, and that end user is a junior person. You have to remember that. The end user is a junior person, and therefore you have to make sure that his life or her life becomes easier by using the software. I think that's what has been the key to our sort of relationship with you all and our consuming your, consuming our APIs. Yeah.
Thank you, Anurag, for giving the insight. So,
Yeah.
Anurag, I have one more thing that that we would like to discuss with you, that during our customer engagement in cases that we have also discovered that as the automobile industries has the complete distribution framework, and the most of the manufacturing company in automobile, mainly in pharma, FMCG, they try to empower their the dealer and the distribution network.
Right.
So while empowering from the journey, like from the beginning, from the onboarding of the distributor till the empowering the distributor, right? So while onboarding of the distributor, we have seen that lot of big corporates, they demand for like the credibility report about the dealer or the distributors, because there are certain parameters that criteria need to be fulfilled to become the distributor for any automobile vertical.
Right.
So have you faced this kind of like any kind of automation requirement in the market, wherein a principal company want, before giving credit to his dealer or distributor, want to validate, or he want to check the health of that organization?
Uh, to a certain extent, yes. I'll tell you why it's not fully applicable in our sector, because most of the OEMs do not use real books. It's actually the entire dealer network and the dealership auto dealers network, etc., that end up using us. But what they do is, especially in the two-wheeler sector, you have this concept of sub-dealers. You have a main dealer and you have this concept of sub-dealers, which goes into the tier 2, tier 3 towns and everything. And you'll have these really small kiosks, etc., where people are maybe stocking 2 or 3 bikes, etc. And in those kind of cases, there this has been helpful in terms of understanding the credibility of the end sub dealer. That has been helpful. With respect to at a very high level, very honestly, we've not encountered it so much because we've not gone ahead. So the Marutis and the Toyotas of the world aren't our typical client base, because they obviously are on legacy systems provided by their global parent, or in case of, let's say, Toyota or Hyundai, or in case of Maruti, they have their homegrown ERP design, I think by TCS or someone. But that's how this sort of works out. We do use we do use your PAN verification and credibility reporting, etc. But I would say that's more towards vendors rather than I would take a step and say it's towards before allocation of a dealership itself, because that is not where we that's not sort of where we actually sit.
Thank you, Anurag. So now I'm moving to Nitin. So Nitin, if you can guide us, like.
Okay. I think I'll start, because the sector being new, there would be a very, even the questions are difficult to ask. So basically, my experience in development sector for last 25 years, I would say uh, we are actually last 10 years in a process of complete digital transformation of the sector in terms of non-profits, in terms of corporate foundations, in terms of government also is become a very big part of the ecosystem. As government becomes a part of the ecosystem, there is a lot of emphasis given on due diligence and compliance. So this is where the demand started coming, and to us, having been in the sector and having built an ERP for non-profit, it becomes a very critical thing for us, that how do we make verification as the starting point even before taking data. Like, to just to quote a simple example, I would say scholarship means, especially during the COVID time, it became like there was a lot of stress created due to loss of parents or loss of people who were the earning members. So a lot of non-corporates foundations went into giving scholarship, and scholarship has been, I would say, it has been philanthropy for ages, and people have been giving scholarship so that the overall community rises. And there are two parts to it. One is like bringing those people in terms of community, as well as India being changing from an agri sector to a tech sector, or to a, I would say, more in terms of manufacturing. There had been a large gap in terms of getting that skilled people. So how do you make this sector get skills for this? Was like giving scholarships. So if you see major every corporate with domains, like if you see healthcare sector, people in healthcare, they provide scholarship to students who wants to be a doctor or who wants to be in pharma. Similarly, those who are from automobile, they try to see that if they can have mechanical. So their major point was that do the deserved student get, and there were certain things like he has to be an Indian citizen. Now to prove at the very point to being an Indian citizen, because if you put a simple ad ki scholarship milti hai, aisa ho jata है, you'll get 1 lakh applications. Now just imagine if I get 1 lakh applications, and my team, which is limited to 2 or 3 people in the CSR, which is like a limited, the company may have 1,000 people, but CSR may have 2 people. So for that team to go through automation in bringing, like, who would be the possible 200 candidates who will get 2 lakh rupees a year, were a bigger challenge. So what we did was we brought a lot of automation, like right at the point of when he puts the first data, it is like his Aadhaar card. So that throws up information, gets a verification done. As Aadhaar today, with the due diligence practice, you can't have all the information, just a code which the government gives. So you need to, so that was the first step. The second step was the PAN. So as you rightly said, we are a sector which is started technology, but it is moving very fast. We This is from a perspective of an individual verification. We worked also closely with the government of Maharashtra, where I would say verification. Like we worked with farmers, where we did a pilot with the government of Maharashtra, where the first thing was like land on hand. Like जो farmers रहते हैं, there is something called, and your Sadbara. Now, Sadbara verification, it's like a very critical thing. So what we did, we aligned with the government system, and where was the data of a Sadbara was pushed, and government could give a complete details of the land size to a farmer. So it was like pushing, giving the person land on hand was a very critical step, and due diligence was a very important thing from the source, which was NIC, which is the mother of all data in India. And today we are happy to say that uh, I would say personally, the purpose was reduction of farmer suicide, because many of the farmers never realized कि उनकी जगह transfer हो चुकी है, mutation हो चुका है. So simple thing like this verification, bringing the data and showing it to a farmer on his mobile, this उसकी जगह पे उसका नाम है, it's like a big change on the social side. And then we went ahead where crop reporting happened. Now crop reporting mein there was a photo which was captured of the crop in stages right from sowing to harvesting, and this became a part of the government database, and there was a crop audit. Now after getting a crop audit, if there is any, in any of the stages, if the crop is destroyed, the farmer never got his come money. Today in Maharashtra, I'm glad to say 2 crore farmers upload crops and they are able to get scheme money. That is what technology and verification, when it is used in the sector, makes a very big impact. And if you see, you don't hear farmer suicide. So these are like test cases which we work very closely with government. I would say there are a lot of other things which we do, like for our, so these are like customized solutions which we work with. On the other front, where we talk about SaaS products for corporates and non-profits, where corporate due diligence has become very important, with MCA putting a lot of rules in terms of, I would say, assets created, kiske naam pe gaye. So in that case, we need to actually check and get the person who has got an asset, right? Even a simple laptop, or there are community assets which are handed to Gram Panchayat. How do you get a proof of verification done from different sources, which are either a PAN, or it is either an Aadhaar card, or if it is a vendor who is being paid money, then how do you capture his PAN or a GST to see that whether he is blacklisted and all that thing. So this sector is fastly adopting all of this, and I would say being a provider of an ERP for non-profit, which takes care of right from a voucher management to, I would say, a vendor management to requisition management to HR, we are actually implementing so our relationship with Vienna is how do we actually collaborate on this and create all these stages where the demand from the market today is we don't want to add data. And in that case, if you don't want to add data, then how do you use these systems to give one single number which will actually capture all the data which is existing from the system and allow the user to take a call whether it is to accept it or reject it. So that is how we are actually deploying technology for non-profits and corporate in reducing the workload for people on the field, because the limitation is money in terms of budget which is allocated to technology. Government is looking into it. I think till the government also says that out of 100 rupees spent on social good, there should be 2% which should be used for technology. There would be a gap of adaptation, but from our side, having worked 25 years in development sector, I think we are doing our best to deliver whatever we could do in bringing verification compliance as a part of our system itself, which we have built. Thanks.
So thank you, Nitin, for highlighting and continuing journey with Vayana as a collaboration. So I would like to highlight one more thing to you that, see, Vayana business model is very simple. We only believe in like B2B, B2C, right? So we don't target customer directly. Our business model is to work closely with the expertise software company like you. And we want to be a background, the technology fabric for your organization, wherein collaboratively we will work together and we will grow in the market. And rightly, as I also understand the CSR market, now government is also empowering a lot of demand in terms of building the automation, because recently I was reading some projects wherein the BJP government has declared certain fund allocation to the farmers. And there was earlier one projects wherein they were planning to validate around all the agriculture farmers getting associated with mandis, like 10 lakh farmer has to be validated with their Aadhaar card and PAN card with the bank account detail. So obviously, yes, so the market is huge, and I feel your company is into the similar direction, and opportunity is huge. Definitely will work together and to gain more and more customers. Right, Nitin? Thank you, Nitin. And so to continue with this, we also like to understand that, see, there are a lot of compliances has been implemented by government, right? Because earlier the challenges were there, but the continuously compliance was not getting empowered by the government. So still, we never thought about the automation. But if you see the current scenario from all the direction, if you talk about the GST filing, or you talk about the MSME payment time journey cycle, every scenarios need to be automated. Now, I think recently there was a news like for in MCA, a company who's running the CSR activity, they have to file a separate MCA form, if I'm not wrong, Nitin.
Yes.
Right?
Form
So
2.
there's a form 1, form 2, right? Yeah. So I think, so during this compliance journey, so how do you feel that how you can educate the entire ecosystem, wherein the ecosystem should get start using this automation, identification, verification module, so that they can save a lot of time in terms of their growth.
So basically, you're right. As the CSR law is evolving, there is coming more maturity because the sector is evolving. The government could see a large gap. The money is spent, but the impact is not there. So they have introduced certain things where I would say, like every year. Previously, कैसे होता था? एक बार onboard एक non-profit हो गया. So there was no check done. But now the government is saying that every year I should know whether this non-profit in terms of has been blacklisted or the non-profit has actually been filing returns and all that, or there has been certain challenges in terms of the people who are heading this non-profit. non-profit. So there is a lot of compliance which is coming, and as last time I was demanding, like there are APIs, that there are certain APIs which we would be requiring, which we had requested you, can we build it together whereby these compliance can be taken care, and the need which has come like an year-on-year compliance can be a seamless part, rather than they going into a lot of documentation again. They speaking to a non-profit and saying, "Ye bhejo," there would be seamless alert which goes to them as notifications ki, there is a that your, I would say, the compliance in terms of filing has not been done. So those alerts and notifications can help really, because the number of non-profits today is humongous. Every corporate must be dealing with 30 to 40 non-profits and trying to go individually. So can a system do it? Can a system create those type of alerts with a lot of integration with government agencies which are ready to provide all of this? So yes, we are looking at that, just how we can collaborate with people like you, because what we found is that actually getting information from the government is a very difficult task, but the opportunities which you have provided in just creating those solutions make it easy for us to implement, rather than spending a lot of time in conversation with the service providers to what type of our due diligence happens or how do we information. I think your solutions are actually helping us to deliver things faster and opportunities to grow larger than what we are expecting. We take these technologies for larger implementation, whether it is government, whether it is corporate, or whether it is non-profit. So looking forward to that.
Thank you, Nitin. So now, before we hand over to Aman, I request the panel speaker to give a few advice to our audience in terms of like how they can also take the benefit about the identification APIs and what will be the advantage for them. So Nilesh sir, it will be great. I think you are one of the senior most person having more expertise on this domain.
No, so a simple thing. Make sure, like I said, make sure that your system can take care of integration. Number two is with compliance going up, there any company, any of your customers are in a growth path. It will be impossible for them to address compliance unless they have an automation in place. So that's a big market out there. All your organizations that are on a growth path will have to embrace automation to ensure that their compliance is in place. I would say that that's something that you would get customers. You would get customers on a growth path. Concentrate on them. Make a solution is ready to take care of their needs. That's my only advice. This is what is going to happen. There is no other way. This is how the world will move tomorrow. That's it, Jay Prakash.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So I think innovation is a continuous journey, and everybody should focus on building more and more innovations, automation within their application, so that they can empower their customers. Anurag sir, if you can also highlight some few pointers before I wrap up this session.
I think a lot of the lines of what Nilay said, and every time you've been going around first asking Nilay and then me, and then with all his wisdom, Nilay always makes sure he speaks all the points. But no, yeah. But I think what you just said, I think every person, whichever application you're using, API integration capabilities is a must. The second thing is you must demand the application provider to provide as many APIs as possible. I can tell you for a fact, we run a small accounts outsourcing arm as well, and I cannot overemphasize the requirement of ensuring compliance. Because believe me, if you are not compliant or you're thinking you can manage compliance manually, I think then you're sort of you're not really thinking beyond on a growth trajectory. You're just thinking, let's just keep what's happening and let's keep whatever's going as the state of equilibrium, and which I don't think is a wise thing to do. I think, and there are so many so much of data already available via APIs that there is no need. I don't even think it's going to be far away the day when I can raise an invoice on a customer and all the customer has to do is just accept the invoice and it will automatically book into my system. I don't even think there will be any manual requirement to feed in invoices between two counterparties, etc. All of this is going to happen, whether we like it, we don't like it. So the need for every accountant to upgrade his skills, that's important, because pure data entry is going to soon become defunct in my mind in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, whatever. And therefore, you must demand as a user of any application, you must demand that application to provide as much of automation as possible, not only for identity, I think for everything, whether it's WhatsApp, SMS, all of those other things as well, but more importantly for compliance, because that is something the government is very, very rigid and very strict about. You cannot mess up with your compliance under any circumstances. Yeah, I think that's all I would like to say.
Yeah, thank you, Anurag. So I think there are many more pointers to discuss, but I think due to the limitation of time, so we request from our audience group if they have any questions for they want to get addressed from our panel speaker. So please raise your hand so that we can address one by one. Any question?
So we have Uday, who has raised her hand. I'll allow you, Uday, to speak up. Yes, Uday, you can talk now. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah. We have got a typical challenge from all our customers who are more than 100 crore turnover companies. These customers are changing their server date at the month end to comply the requirements of banks and governments and other things. So when we try to integrate, this API through Vayana, we get a date error. And when the date error comes in, we have to basically upload invoices and all using JSON file upload, which we were doing it earlier. So that was our challenge. How to address it, we don't know. Thanks.
Thank you bringing Uday sir, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely after this call, I will my tech will connect with you. Let's understand that what is the technical error, right?
Correct.
And so that we can get it fixed.
Sure.
CoinCap, right, sir? Company name is CoinCap, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Jaiprakash, since we don't have any additional questions from the audience and no further topics to touch upon, I guess we can proceed to close today's session. A big thank you to all our esteemed panelists for sharing their insights and expertise. Your perspective and experience have definitely been valuable to our audience. And we hope for the attendees as well, this discussion has provided you with practical takeaways to enhance your journey. We encourage everyone to stay connected and reach out to us with any feedback or any question, any follow-up questions if you guys have. We're always here to continue the conversation. Thank you once again, everyone, the panelists, attendees, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the future sessions. Wishing you all a very happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.